Hi dear friends, in my last video I completed problems based on normality. In today's class, that is lecture number 8, we'll see the relationship between molarity and normality. For that purpose, I'll give you the derivation. See here, normality formula already known to you, mass absolute by equivalent mass absolute into 1 by volume of solution in the liters. Now what I am doing, instead of equivalent mass, in place of equivalent mass, we can write molar mass divided by valency. Molar mass by valency, nothing but molar mass by n factor, right? Whose molar mass? Solute molar mass, of course. That's why in place of E2, I'll substitute M2 divided by valency. That only substituted here. Next, valency here 1 by valency. 1 by valency means valency will come in the numerator. Therefore, I'll write like this: normality is equals to W2 by M2. W2 by M2 into 1 by V. 1 by V will write as it is, whole into whatever the valency is there, that valency is coming here. That valency I have written here. Okay? Because it is 1 by valency. Valency will come in complete numerator. That only I have written here. Next, what is a W2 by M2 into 1 by V? It is absolutely molarity formula. Because mass absolute by molar mass absolute into 1 by volume of solution is molarity. Therefore, normality is equals to molarity into valency. That's it. Normality is equals to molarity into valency. What is the use of this formula? Means if in the question molarity given, normality can be calculated as usual. I mean, if normality given, molarity also calculated. See here, then if molarity given, normality we can calculate just by multiplying with valency. Or if normality given, how to calculate molarity? Means molarity is equals to normality by valency. Both relations compulsory needed to convert molarity to normality as well as normality to molarity. That's it. Okay. First I have taken normality formula, and in that normality formula, in place of equivalent mass, substituted molar mass by valency, and valency shifted completely in the numerator. Then remaining formula is molarity. Therefore, normality is equals to molarity into valency, or molarity equals to normality by valency. Right. Now, based on this formula, one question let's discuss now. That is, find the normality. Find the normality of 0.1 molar sulfuric acid. Means here molarity has given and is asking normality. How to calculate? We'll write its formula first of all. Normality is equals to molarity into valency. Molarity is 0.1. Valency nothing but it is a H2SO4 acid. Valency nothing but it's a basicity. Sulfuric acid basicity is 2. Why sulfuric acid basicity is 2? That we have learned in our previous video. Because it is having a 2 number of replaceable hydrogen ions. That's why it's 2. Therefore, your answer is 0.2. Means if molarity is 0.1, normality is 0.2. That's why always remember whatever the substance value if you consider, molarity, normality values if you consider, always normality value bigger than molarity value to any given solution. Remember, any given solution, normality is always bigger than molarity. This is a conclusion. Any solution, normality and molarity if you compare, definitely normality is bigger, right? Next, two note points let's discuss now. Note 1, note 2. What is note 1? What is note 2? Very simple. First, note 1. If a density of the solution is, when the density of the solution is approximately equals to 1 or less than 1. If a density value is equals to 1 gram per milliliter or less than 1 gram per milliliter, in that case molarity relations, when we are observing molarity, then definitely molarity is bigger than molarity when density value is equals to 1 or less than 1. This is note 1. What is note 2? If density is more than, greater than 1, okay, if density is higher than 1, bigger than 1, in that case molarity is bigger than molality. These two note points we have to remember, because these will be used while solving problems. Once again, when density value is equals to 1 or less than 1, small m is bigger than capital M. When density is greater than 1, capital M is bigger than small m. Okay, right. Then we have completed a normality concept. Of course, normality concept is not there in the NCERT book, but even though we are learning to solve competitive questions, remember. Next, one more concentration expressing term I will explain. That is also not there in the NCERT book, but for a competitive examinations purpose that will be used. Then I will give you just a brief idea regarding next concentration term, that is called strength. Strength, let's discuss now. Strength. Yeah, what is strength? What is strength? Let's discuss now. Then before I will going to discuss the strength, I will go back to molarity. What is molarity? Molarity equal to number of moles of solute present in 1 liter volume of solution is called molarity, right? Now we'll see the strength. Strength is somewhat similar, of course not same, somewhat similar. Then in case of molarity, we have used number of moles of solute. In strength, what I am doing, instead of moles, will use a mass, that's it. Mass of solute, mass of solute, mass of solute in grams, or mass of solute present in given 1 liter volume of solution is called as a strength, that's it. Molarity means in terms of moles. Molarity means numerator we are using the moles. Strength means in the numerator we are using a mass. That is the only difference between molarity as well as strength. That's why how to define strength? That is a mass of solute in 1 liter volume of solution is called as strength, right? That is a mass of solute. Mass of solute. Of course, we are taking the grams divided by volume of solution. Volume of solution in liters. That's it. Okay. Now, question arises here. Sir, is it similar to percentage W by V or mass by volume? Is it similar to mass by volume? No, it is not similar to mass by volume. Why? Because then at mass by volume there we have taken a mass of solute in grams, volume of solution in milliliters we have taken there. But here, of course, mass of solute is gram only, no doubt, but volume of solution we are taking in the liters. There milliliter we have used, but here we are using a liter. Therefore, W by V, strength entirely different to each other. There is no comparison between them, right? Next will write like this. Molarity formula will write once again. Why molarity formula we are writing means we'll understand. Weight, that is W2 by M2 into 1 by V in liters or 1000 by V in milliliters. Because the strength, volume we are using in terms of liter, that's why liters related formula I have used. Right. Now, what is W2? Mass of solute. What is the V? Volume of solution in the liters. Now, this part I am taking into consideration. W2 by V. What is W2 by V? What is W2 by V? W2 by V is nothing but strength. Because the mass of solute is W2 divided by V in liters. Okay, that's why W2 by V. W2 by V is nothing but strength. Therefore, molarity is equals to, instead of W2 by V, I'll substitute strength divided by molar mass of solute. Molarity formula we can change like this. Because W2 by V is nothing but strength. Instead of W2 by V, I have substituted strength formula, strength symbol of course. Now I want strength. Therefore, strength is equals to, if you cross multiply molarity into molar mass of solute. That's it. Means in the question, if a molarity given as well as molar mass of solute is known, if you multiply them, you will get a strength. What is the unit for strength? Gram per liter. Units we can write. Gram per liter is the unit for strength, remember. Suppose in the question, if a normality related information has given, then strength, how to get from normality concept means, instead of molarity, I will write normality into, instead of molar mass, will write equivalent mass of solute. That's it. If a normality has given, this is a formula to get strength. If a molarity given, this is a formula to get strength. That's it. This is a strength, concept. It is also one of the concentration expressing term only. Right. Now, based on this strength, just will solve one question. Okay. Once again, what is the strength? Mass of solute present in 1 liter volume of solution is called as a strength. Because in molarity, W2 by V I have replaced with the strength. Therefore, strength divided by molar mass of solute, of course. Then strength is equals to cross multiplication molarity into molar mass of solute. That only I have written. Based on this, we will write one question. We'll write one question, we'll discuss one question. A decimolar solution of aqueous H2SO4 is prepared, then find out normality and strength of solution is the question. Normality and strength of the question is asking. That's it. Means if you understand the question properly, decimolar means molarity has given in the question directly only. Deci, how much we have to take, means it is nothing but 1 by 10 m, nothing but 0.1 molar. Deci nothing but 0.1 molar, 1 by 10 molarity has given. What is asked? And that too H2SO4, aqueous H2SO4. In aqueous H2SO4, what is a solute, what is solvent? H2SO4 is a solute, water is a solvent. Right. Next is asking a normality as well as strength. I'll write first, I'll calculate a normality. Already molarity normality relation, just now we have learned molarity into valency, nothing but a basicity because it is acid. That is nothing but a 0.1 into valency of sulfuric acid is 2. That is nothing but a 0.2 normal, nothing but a equivalents per liter. Right. Only one question has finished. Then we'll go to strength. Strength, just now we have taken. That is, if normality values are given, how to calculate strength means normality into equivalent mass of solute is a formula. If a molarity given, what we have to write means strength is equals to molarity into molar mass of solute. Any formula we can use, doesn't matter, because in the question we have molarity as well as normality. Let's say molarity related formula we can use, or a normality related formula also we can use. Of course, I'll give you both. First, a normality related formula we'll use. Normality is equals to 0.2 into equivalent mass of solute. What is solute? H2SO4. What is the equivalent mass? Molar mass divided by valency. Molar mass of sulfuric acid is 98 divided by 2. 98 by 2, 49. and if you multiply 9.8 units of strength already known to you, gram per liter, or suppose with the help of molarity formula, how to calculate? Strength is equals to molarity into molar mass of solute. That's it. Molarity into molar mass of solute. Molarity how much? Let us see. 0.1 into molar mass of solute. Again solute is H2SO4. What is molar mass? 98. Therefore we will write 98. Because we have taken here equivalent mass, we are using here molar mass. 98 into 0.1, again 9.8 gram per liter only. Both we are getting the same answer. That's it. If you miss, you can take normality formula, normality related values or molarity related values, doesn't matter. Ultimately you will get same answer only. Right. Now finally, I'll give you one question. In that you have to calculate all concentration expressing term. That is absolutely homework to you. Okay? All concentration expressing terms you have to calculate in that question. Right. Question I am giving here. That is a 4% W by W solution of aqueous NaOH is prepared if density is equals to 1.4 gram per milliliter or gram per cc also we can write. Find out capital M, small m, mole fraction, normality, and finally strength. This is the question. Now I will give you just all answers. This is homework to you. Here first molarity answer is 1.5 capital M, and then molality is 1.04 small m, and mole fraction of whose we have to calculate mole fraction of solute. I will write mole fraction of solute NaOH. What is solute NaOH? Mole fraction of NaOH is 0.018, and then normality value is 1.5 normal, and finally strength is equals to 60 gram per liter is the answers. And these are the answers to that question. Okay, all these concentration expressing terms you have to calculate, and all answers I have given. You have to try this question. Okay, from this we have completed all concentration expressing terms, and of course then normality as well as the strength, even though in the NCERT book they are not given, but I have explained for various competitive examinations purpose only. Right. Okay, then we will enter into some another different concept. That is, I will explain now solubility. We have to define what is a solubility, what is meant by solubility. Let's discuss now. Right. What is solubility means? Say it is one container, then some water has taken, solvent nothing but, then a solute we are adding, it is a solute. Then how to define solubility means the maximum amount of solute that can be dissolved in the specified amount of solvent, the maximum amount of solute that can be dissolved in the specified amount of solvent at a particular temperature is called as solubility. I'll repeat, the maximum amount of solute that can be dissolved in a specific amount of solvent at a particular temperature is called as solubility. First we have to understand what is solubility. Means maximum amount of solvent. maximum amount of solute that can be dissolved in specified amount of solvent at a given temperature is called as a solubility. Right. Then the solubility phenomena, solubility depends on various factors. What are those various factors? Means one is nature of solute. Solubility definitely depends on nature of solute as well as nature of solvent as well as pressure as well as temperature. Solubility will depends on all these factors. One is nature of solute as well as nature of solvent and pressure as well as temperature. Okay, right. Next we will discuss about solubility of solid solute in liquid solvent. Next concept is solubility of solid solute in liquid solvent. Then means how it depends on nature of solute, how it depends on nature of solvent, how it depends on pressure and how it depends on temperature. Let's discuss now. That is solubility of solid solute in solubility of solid solute in, we can say, liquid solvent. Right. Solid solute in liquid solvent. In that first we will see number one, first factor is nature of solute. That is nothing but a solid, nature of solid or nature of solute. Right. How nature of solute or solid will depends on its solubility. Very, very simple phenomena. Here I am giving one word, that is one statement, say like dissolves like. Like dissolves like is the statement. Sir, what is the meaning of this statement? Like dissolves like means. What is the meaning of this statement? Means here say one solute we are adding in particular solvent. What is meant by like dissolves like? Means solute will dissolve in a particular solvent. Solute will dissolve in a particular solvent having a similar nature. I'll repeat. Solute will dissolve more in a particular solvent having a same nature is called like dissolves like. Solute nature, solvent nature. Solute nature, solvent nature should be similar is called like dissolves like. I'll repeat. Solute will dissolve in a particular solvent having a similar nature. What is its meaning? I'll give you with a suitable example. Say any ionic compound, suppose sodium chloride. Sodium chloride is ionic compound. Remember, ionic compound will dissolve more only ionic compound dissolves only in polar solvent like water. That's it. Ionic compounds more soluble in polar solvent like water only. But ionic compounds are not soluble in non-polar solvent like benzene, ether, etc. Like dissolves like means this solute nature, solvent nature are similar. Solute nature, solvent nature are similar. It is having charges, poles. Here also it is also having poles. Like dissolves like only. But NaCl cannot be soluble in benzene or ether because it is highly polar compound. It is a non-polar. It is of course ionic compound. Ionic compound, here ions are there. It is a non-polar, no ions. That's all. Okay. That's why first we are discussing about nature of solute. We are discussing nature of solute. Like dissolves like means solute will dissolve in a specified amount of solvent having similar in nature. That's it. This is about nature of solute. Suppose ionic compounds are soluble in water. Then one more point I'll give you. Covalent compounds I'll give you. Covalent compounds, or we can say non-polar. We can say ionic compounds are soluble in water, and covalent compounds, nothing but non-polar compounds, are soluble in non-polar solvents only. That's it. Non-polar soluble in non-polar only, polar soluble in polar only, like dissolves like. I'll repeat. Covalent compounds, that is organic compounds we can take. Non-polar compounds, they are soluble in non-polar solvents only. What are non-polar solvents? Means like ether, chloroform, etc. Example I'll give you. Non-polar compound, but I'm giving its example. Benzene, non-polar compound, nothing but covalent compound. Then this benzene is soluble in chloroform, remember. It is non-polar. Benzene never soluble in water. This is very important. I'll repeat. Like dissolves like. Ionic compounds soluble in polar solvent like water. Covalent compounds non-polar solute. Non-polar compounds are soluble in non-polar solvents only. Example, benzene is soluble in chloroform because both are non-polar only. Then sometimes some exceptional cases will be there. They are some non-polar compounds, nothing but solute. Some non-polar compounds, nothing but solutes, are soluble in polar solvent like water. It is due to your question arises here. Just now we have discussed like dissolves like. Again here like dissolves like is becoming a reverse. What we are telling? Some, not all. Some non-polar solute compounds are soluble in polar solvent. It is just because of hydrogen bonding. That's it. It's some exceptional cases. Some non-polar compounds are soluble in polar solvents. Polar solvent. It is just because of hydrogen bonding formation. Right. Next, one more point let's discuss now. That is, if ionic compound is have more lattice enthalpy, remember, more lattice enthalpy, please try to understand. If ionic compound is having a more lattice enthalpy, what is the lattice enthalpy? That we have learned in our first year chemical bonding lesson. More lattice enthalpy, then solubility is less, remember. Okay, lattice enthalpy is more, solubility is less. I'll repeat. If ionic compound having more lattice enthalpy, then its solubility in water is less. Therefore, we can write the relation lattice enthalpy inversely proportional to solubility. This you have to remember again. Okay, lattice enthalpy is more, definitely its solubility is less. And one more point I'll explain, that is, if hydration enthalpy is more, if hydration enthalpy is more, then solubility solubility is also more only. Okay, both are opposite to each other. If lattice enthalpy is more, solubility is less. But if hydration enthalpy is more, obviously solubility of that solute in water is more. Solubility is more, of course, in water we can say then. Therefore, hydration enthalpy is directly proportional to solubility. Remember, that's it. Okay, here lattice enthalpy is a required energy to break the ionic solid. Hydration enthalpy is nothing but a released energy when it is breaking. Okay, it is a required energy, it is a released energy. Once again, if ionic compound is having a more lattice enthalpy, then its solubility in water is less. Means lattice enthalpy, solubility both are inversely proportional to each other. But if hydration enthalpy is more, definitely solubility of that solid in water is more, because here both are directly proportional to each other. Next we can write like this, that is, if lattice energy is greater than hydration enthalpy, because it is required energy, released energy is more, then delta H value will be positive. And if reverse, lattice enthalpy less than hydration enthalpy is released energy. If released energy is more than required energy, delta H value is negative, because delta H positive we are showing means amount of energy required. Delta H negative we are showing means amount of energy released in the process. These are some additional points regarding solubility, right? Okay, these points you have to remember, that will be helpful for competitive exams purpose only. Next we'll discuss about here. Till now we have discussed only nature of solute. Next we'll see nature of solvent. Second point, nature of solvent. Because our target is solute should dissolve in the solvent. For that purpose, what are the favorable conditions, what are the unfavorable conditions, that all points we are discussing now. Nature of solvent. Yeah, how solvent will influence or influence the solubility of a given ionic solid. Let's discuss now. Particularly I am explaining for ionic solids. Whatever the solvent we are using, okay, for ionic solids, the solvent dielectric constant value should be very high. Remember, I'll repeat, for ionic solids particularly, then from that ionic solvent, the ionic solute in which solvent we are dissolving, that solvent's dielectric constant value should be very high. Now question arises here, what is the dielectric constant? What is the meant by dielectric constant? Let's discuss now. See here, it is water. Water dielectric constant value nearly 80 or 81 something, 80, let's say round figure value. Its dielectric constant value is 80. Water it is. So what is meant by dielectric constant? That only we are discussing now. In this water, suppose NaCl we have added. Okay now, then immediately NaCl is soluble in water. Why NaCl is soluble in water? Because water is high dielectric constant. We are telling high dielectric constant means what water is doing. Very simple. Then this water, what it is doing means, after addition of NaCl, then Na plus and Cl minus we are having attraction forces or not? In ionic compound, between ions, obviously will have strong electrostatic attraction forces are there. When ionic solid dissolves in water, when ionic solid after a dissolution in water, immediately whatever the attraction forces are there, those attraction forces will be decreased by 80 times. I'll repeat. Water dielectric constant 80 means, then when ionic compound dissolves in water, then in water whatever the attraction forces between the ions are there, those attraction forces are decreased by 80 times. Then automatically, if attraction forces are decreased, its solubility will increase. That is only called as a dielectric constant. Then water dielectric constant is more, its value is high, that is 80. That's why how to define now means, what we are telling, ionic solids. For ionic solids, the solvent dielectric constant should be very high. Best example is water only. In water, when ionic solid is placed, immediately water is reducing attraction forces by 80 times. Because of that reason, then ionic solids are more soluble in water. That's it. That's why solvent nature also important to dissolve ionic solid. Solvent nature also more. Suppose here dielectric constant value less, very less. Just imagine dielectric constant value is only 2. Only 2 means what is the meaning? Means when ionic compound dissolves in a particular solvent, then here attraction forces are decreased by only 2 times. Means still more attraction forces are there in one solvent also. In that case, solubility will decreases. That's why here a dielectric constant value should be high. Best example is water. It reduces attraction forces nearly by 80 times. Then automatically solubility increases. That's why nature of solvent also will influence in the solubility of solid in solvent. Right. Then we'll go to temperature, third point. Temperature. How temperature is influencing in the solubility of solid in liquid or solid solute in liquid solvent. Right here, solid plus solvent or liquid is giving a solution. Okay. Here, 2 things can happen. That is, if delta H can be positive, delta H can be negative, it depends on hydration enthalpy as well as lattice enthalpy. Just now I have explained. Okay. Here, if lattice enthalpy greater than hydration enthalpy, then delta H is positive. And if lattice enthalpy less than hydration enthalpy, delta H is negative. Based on these 2 conditions, anything can happen here, remember. It is depending on a solute as well as solvent. Anything can happen. Right. Suppose when solid is soluble in liquid, it is a solute solvent, we are getting a solution. In this case, the amount of energy suppose absorbed. If it is endothermic process, just imagine. If it is endothermic process, again we have to go back to our first year equilibrium topic, that is Le Chatelier's principle we have to recall. According to Le Chatelier's principle, if it is endothermic process, according to Le Chatelier's principle, temperature should increase. If temperature increases, then immediately reaction shifts towards that is a endothermic reaction takes place. Endothermic reaction means a forward reaction takes place. I'll repeat. If a forward reaction is endothermic reaction, suppose, then temperature should increase according to Le Chatelier's principle. Once again, you have to refer Le Chatelier's principle, what you have learned in your first year, because right now I cannot explain the entire Le Chatelier's principle story now. Okay, right. Suppose, see here, once again, if temperature increases, solubility increases. Solubility increases if, we'll write here, if delta H is positive, right? If it is endothermic process, temperature increases, solubility increases. Suppose vice versa, if delta H is negative, delta H is negative means if a forward reaction is exothermic process, then what happened? If temperature increases, solubility decreases. That's it. If temperature increases, solubility decreases. Both you have to remember, because here anything can happen. It is not fixed, remember. But these conditions you have to remember. If temperature increases, solubility increases for endothermic process. For exothermic process, temperature increases, solubility decreases, right? And the last factor is pressure factor. Let's discuss now, right? Then as far as we are discussing a solid in the liquid, remember, then a solid in liquid purpose, pressure has no effect, remember. Here pressure is not influencing on its solubility. Why? Because the solids are incompressible substances. That's why pressure has no effect on its solubility. That's it. These are the factors which depends on the solubility of solid in liquid. Once again, total 4 factors are there. One is the nature of solute, second one is the nature of solvent, third one is the temperature, and fourth one is the pressure. All 4 factors we have discussed now. Okay, next we'll discuss about again another point, that is solubility of gas. Of course, solute. Gas in liquid. Liquid is of course a solvent. Gas in liquid. Okay, till now we have learned solid in liquid. Already we have completed. Now we'll go to gas in liquid. Gas in liquid means for more dissolution purpose, what are favorable conditions? Let's discuss now, right? Again, it depends on same nature of solute, nature of solvent, temperature, pressure, etc. We have to learn. Okay. Next we'll discuss about first nature of solute. Will discuss. Nature of solute, nothing but solid, right? Sorry, it is not solid, it is a gas. Nature of solute is a gas. Sorry, because just now we have completed solid in liquid concept. Now we are discussing gas in liquid concept, right? Yeah, we'll continue how nature of solute, that is a gas, depends in its solubility. Number 1, first point, generally easily liquefiable gases dissolves in polar solvents like water. Easily liquefiable gases. Then what are easily liquefiable gases? Means like HCl, SO2, NH3. Sir, how you are telling they are easily liquefiable? It is based on its critical temperature that we have learned in our first year states of matter lesson. Remember, easily liquefiable gases like HCl, SO2, NH3 dissolves more in water. It is one point. Means easily liquefiable gases dissolves easily in polar solvent like water. Second point, the gases which reacts with water, okay, the gases which reacts with water readily dissolves in water. Means which gas dissolves in water more, which gas dissolves less in water. Means whatever the gas we are dissolving, that gas and water should react. If gas and water both are reacted to each other, obviously its solubility is more. See here example, CO2 gas. dissolves in water more. Why? CO2 reacts with H2O and forms carbonic acid like this. CO2 gas reacts with H2O which is a solvent and forms H2CO3. Because of this reason, CO2 solubility in water is more. Once again, second point, the gases which reacts with water readily means easily or more, dissolves in water. Example, CO2 reacts with water and forms H2CO3. Similarly, NH3 gas, NH3 also reacts with water and forms ammonium hydroxide. That's why CO2 as well as ammonia solubility in water is more, because they will react with water and will get a corresponding products, right? And another point, non-polar gases. Non-polar gases means like a fluorine, chlorine, no poles on its molecule. Non-polar gases dissolves in non-polar solvents only, like benzene, chloroform, etc. I'll repeat, non-polar gases will dissolve in non-polar solvent only, but not polar solvent like water. I'll repeat, non-polar gases will dissolve in a non-polar solvent only, right? This is about first factor, nature of solute, that is gas. First point is easily liquefiable gases dissolves in polar solvent like water. What are easily liquefiable gases means? Example, HCl, SO2, NH3, etc. They will dissolve in water easily. And the next point, the gases which react with water easily or more, then that gas solubility in water is also more. Example, CO2 and NH3. And the last point is non-polar gases will be soluble in non-polar solvent only, like benzene, chloroform, etc. Right. And we'll go to next influencing factor, that is temperature. Temperature. First one we have learned nature of solute, that is the nature of gas we have completed. Then we are going to temperature factor, how temperature will influence on its solubility. Let's discuss now. See here, gas plus liquid will give, of course, it's a solution. We can write directly solution. And here important point is, in this case always the process is exothermic. That is very important point. Previous case, when when a solid solute dissolves in a liquid solvent, then process may endothermic or may exothermic. But when a gas dissolves in liquid solvent, the process is always exothermic. Delta H should be negative. This is fixed, remember. Why it is fixed? Because here hydration enthalpy is dominated. Hydration enthalpy is more. That's why delta H value is always negative. Right. Then according to Le Chatelier's principle, then a more solubility of gas in liquid purpose, what we have to do? Whether we have to increase the temperature or decrease the temperature means when, please try to understand, according to Le Chatelier's principle, when temperature decreases, reaction shifts towards temperature increasing side, nothing but exothermic side. Means here forward reaction takes place, means dissolution of gas in liquid takes place more when temperature decreases. Remember, when temperature decreases, then more solubility of gas in liquid occurs. Remember, according to Le Chatelier's principle, because always it is exothermic process. Remember, because of this reason only, what we are telling, at temperature, low temperature, when temperature decreases, more gas is soluble. At low temperature, more gas is soluble. Temperature less, solubility of gas is more. Because of this reason only, aquatic lives aquatic lives are more comfort in cold water rather than hot water. I'll repeat, aquatic life like fish etc., they are very comfortable in cold water than hot water. Why? Cold water means temperature less. If temperature less means what happened? More oxygen gas dissolves in water. Less temperature, cold water, more oxygen gas dissolves in water. Because of that reason only aquatic species can exist. Suppose if it is hot water means the temperature they are increasing. If temperature increases, oxygen dissolution tendency in water decreases. Means it is difficulty for aquatic species. That's why based on this phenomena only aquatic life is very comfort in cold water rather than hot water. We can also explain based on thermodynamic phenomena, that is delta G is equals to delta H minus T delta S. What we are telling, it is always exothermic, that is delta H is negative minus T delta S. Entropy, when gas dissolves in liquid, definitely entropy decreases. Negative minus into minus plus temperature. We are getting a temperature is having a positive sign. Temperature is positive sign. That's why if temperature is less, at a low temperature means if temperature less, this will be dominated. Delta G becomes negative. At a low temperature, delta G is negative. Means it is a spontaneous process. Remember, at temperature less, at a low temperature, delta G is negative. Means if temperature decreases, more gas is dissolving. That is only spontaneous process. More gas dissolves automatically at less temperature. Right. According to thermodynamic phenomena also, we have explained this phenomenon. Next, first factor is nature of solute, that is a gas. Second factor is a temperature, and we'll go to third factor, that is a pressure effect. How pressure is influencing on the solubility of gas in liquid. Let's discuss now. It is a liquid solvent. It is of course a gas. Liquid solvent is gas. Our target is gas should dissolve in the liquid solvent. Then how pressure is influencing? Very simple. Definitely pressure influences. Pressure dominates on the solubility of a gas in liquid. Why? Because if pressure increases, then definitely more amount of gas is soluble in given solvent. I'll repeat, if pressure increases, solubility also increases. Why? Because if pressure increases, number of gas particles per unit volume increases. Remember, I'll repeat, if pressure increases, number of gas particles per unit volume increases. Means if pressure increases, solubility of gas in liquid increases. Okay, I'll repeat. First point is nature of solute, that is gas. Second point is temperature. Third point is pressure. How pressure is influencing means if pressure increases, definitely solubility of gas in solvent increases, because when pressure increases, number of gas particles per unit volume of water increases. Then here remember, Henry has given a quantitative relationship. Henry has given a quantitative relationship between pressure as well as solubility of gas in terms of mole fraction. I'll repeat. Okay, Henry scientist has given a quantitative relationship between pressure and solubility of gas in terms of mole fraction. Now we'll discuss what is Henry's law, which is very important concept, of course. And in today's class, we'll stop up to here. In our next video, we'll continue with Henry's law statement. Okay, thank you for watching. Bye.